Welcome back, guys. Today I'm going to show you how I tile this little shower cubicle. It's going to be tiled in these A4 size ceramic tiles with this nice little mosaic running through. The mosaic's going to run through about 3/4 height, and I've already tanked this up here. You can check out my video in my how-to guides on how to do this. So it's all waterproofed and ready to go. And it'll be tiled on this side of the shower, this wall, and half tiled across here. So regards setting out here, there's two options really. This wall here is half height, which would normally be about 1.2 metres half height, which is here. And that's, the tiles are 40 centimetres. They're just A4, and yeah, they're 40 centimetres across. So at 1.2, that'd be roughly 3 tiles, give or take, with some 2mm spacers. If we come off of that, we work out on this line here. So that's basically a full tile off the floor. It means the shower tray cut would just be a notch off, which is great. And our board would run through here. But that gives us a tiny little cut at the top of the room. Ditto, if you took a full tile off the ceiling, you'd have that tiny little cut in the shower tray. So that's not really going to be good. The customer wants the borders around this kind of height somewhere in the room. So the only other option that I've got here is to centre the whole wall, which is across here. It's 105, 105. And then if I come up off of that, which is there and there, and then my border is at the top, I've got about a half cut there, and it'll be about the same at the bottom. It's a good size cut. It means the shower tray cut will be fine, and all it means is instead of having 1.2, you have to follow the tile, otherwise it'll look weird. So that's where my full tile is, that's where my half height is. So it's about 15 centimetres ish lower than where you'd probably want the half height, but the basin is normally 80 centimetres, around there, 80, 85. So it's enough splashback around there. So to have the border 3/4 of the way up where the customer wants it, to not have a small cut there, that's what I'm going to go with for the height. So I'll draw a level line around on this line, and I'll work down from that line around the room, and then I can go up, put the mosaic in, and then put the top cut in. And then this, I can do this wall, which will have a bit of trim on top of it. And over on this side of the room, this would just have a bit of trim going up this edge, and it'd just be tiled from there. So that's the height set out. So now we can set out going across, which really, you've got an option of, there'll be a shower screen up here, so you either come full tile off of the shower screen, and then whatever it is over there. On this side, you would tend to come a full tile off. The tiles are 25 centimetres, so let's just roughly have a look at where that sets out. 5. So that gives us a cut like that, so we may have to wrap the tile around there because that's quite a small cut. That's there. So starting a full tile off there will look better than having a silly little cut there, so that will probably determine how this wall is set out. So like I say, you can do the full tile off of there, you can continue this tile around here, or centre the wall. So let's quickly try all options. So the wall centre 183, which is 91.5-ish. And that should be the centre wall. 1.5, which is say there. So that's my centre line. The tiles are 25, aren't they? Yeah. So let's just see what that works back off the centre to see if we can make this cut over here marinate. So 50, another 25. That gives us 15, and 8, 23. That's not too bad as it is, and that would obviously be the same cut over there. So that's an option to come either side of the centre line. It makes that tile look like it's wrapping around the corner. There'll be an electric shower control on there, but that's no real biggie. And let's also have a look at if we had a full tile off of this wall. would be roughly there. And this is my general process when setting out, to just try a few different options and just see what works out best visually. That gives a silly little cut down there, so that's not that great. And is there any point coming off of this tray? Say we had a level line down here, it's not far off the centre line anyway. So I think that's fine for me. I'm going to centre this wall, put a centre line down it, work either side of that. I know it's going to marinate round to that side, which will look cool because it wraps around, even cuts either side of the wall. Then when I come to this wall over here, I'll see how that works out. It naturally be centred. We try and get the centre where it's either side or centre of the line. So again, it makes it look like it's wrapping around the corner. So yeah, I'll draw a line up there, a line across here. That'll give my starting point. Work down, get all that done, work up, and then I can just place the mosaic in, put the top cut in. This would just either be a hole cut or a slot, hole cut there. So yeah, pretty straightforward this one really. Right, let's get into it. So this is my line in the centre of the room, which I'll be working down from. Always work from a level line down with ceramic tiles. They hold up on the wall well, and you always want to work from a level line, not the surface. You don't want to piss about with putting backwards on the wall or any stuff like that. So just get a level line on the wall and work down from it. That way. And then we'll just continue that into the shower on this wall. Right, so that's my line going around the room. Now we just need our upright line off our centre mark, which was here. Okay. My kids' felt chips here are slowly dying, but just about visible. Yeah, so we're going to go either side of this line, down from this line. And that is pretty much us setting out. There's nothing else to really worry about. We know the floor works out well, we know the top works out well, and we know that this way is going to look like it all marinates together. So now I can knock up some adhesive. Now, because this is a backer board wall, this is a plastered wall, but I can't use ready mix adhesive on backer board, so I'm just going to use a powdered adhesive for the whole thing. I'll be using a Flex 1, which I talk about a lot, which is a great adhesive, so I'll just do the whole lot in that. And yeah, these are ready to go now, so I'm going to knock some adhesive up and get tiling. I've just covered the shower tray up in preparation for tiling, and I've just got a joint down here, so I'm just going to CT1 this so it's nice and solid and waterproofly there, and ditto with the corner there and the other side of the tray, just so it's all nicely done before tiling, just as another barrier. And CT1 is a great product. It's waterproof, it's high strength, it should deteriorate over time, so it's really good for filling holes and making sure that things don't go anywhere. And I'll just take a wet wipe and just get that nice and neat around there. Great, and that's another little waterproof barrier there, just as I don't know what's going on the floor in here, but it's covered just in case water ever gets down the side of the tray in there. So yeah, that's all good. Right, I've got my adhesive mixed up, ready to go. Next thing is just check the wall and just see what it's like for bumps and lumps, and see what kind of trowel to use. And this all looks pretty flat. Upright doesn't matter too much, this kind of thing, but it's pretty good. So, as these are a ceramic tile, there's not much backing on them. I'll go for an 8mm trowel. This will also help with the mosaic. But with the mosaic, when we get to it, I'll show you later. But if it needs to be brought out, then there's various things you can do just to pack it out, because you don't want the mosaic going all wobbly. So yeah, we'll approach that when we get to that later. But for now, I'm just going to spread the whole of this section. I'll just get the adhesive on and just start straightening it up a bit. Get some tiles on, cut around the pipes there. Let's get this section done. as usual, just making sure I'm using the full notches of the trowel. Like I say, hold it at an angle, and you can always hear the scraping when you're using it at the full notches. Just make sure I can see that line. I can actually open out this one. I can see my line there. Where I've got to come. Right, so I've got a sponge ready just in case it gets messy. No need to back butter a simple ceramic tile. So just checking for any defects in the tile. We know where our line is, we're going either side of it. We're just going to push it on, give it a wiggle, and being ceramic they have so much suction that they won't be going anywhere. And I'll just put a few on, then I'll come through with my level and my spacers and just get them in line. Work through this row. And you'll normally find with a tile like this, a ceramic tile, that they may be a bit wonky on the side, so when you put your spacers in you may have to jiggle them a little bit. This works out pretty well on these pipes. You have to jiggle them around a little bit just to get them right, but work your level line is the best thing I can say with that, and then use your level to just make sure they're good across the top. And because they have a rounded edge on them, once they're grouted, even if you have some areas where the joints are slightly smaller, once it's grouted the joint will actually become a little bit bigger and it'll all look fine. It's one of the easiest starter tiles to work with, and just quite a simple, straightforward budget tile which gives a good look, say especially when you put a mosaic border through it. It's simple and effective. Okay, so I'll just grab my level now and just make sure they're pretty good with some spacers. And I can just mark my cuts up. It's looking good there. So we can just push them up to the level. And we'll check this again later as well. But it's just so they're there or thereabouts, so we can mark some accurate cuts. You can even see under the level a bit where the tiles aren't straight like a porcelain tile, that you just have to work with them a little bit and make sure they're relatively there or thereabouts. They won't be as straight as a porcelain tile just because of the nature of a ceramic tile. Cool. I'll just show you down here for the cuts. Just make sure you can see that on the camera. I'll just use my small little reedy cutter for these. You can cut up to 400 tiles, so I'll just show you some cuts so you get the gist. Okay. So both of these cuts either side don't have to be perfect, because not until I get up there, because they have tiles going into them. I'll always mark with a little bit of play. I'm just going to make sure you can see that. So, and to mark the cut, I'll put the tile against the wall. This here will be the way that it ends out, so it will end up going in like that. So you would take it like that. I mark over a joint like that to give it a bit of space. That's the bottom, that's the top, and then we can put it into the cutter. Just line it up with our top and our back line. That's pretty good. Stride through, break, and then back to the wall. There. And then you can see with the arrow how I marked it to how that goes. Again, give it a push and a wiggle. Great. Now I'm just going to do that with the right hand side and work down a bit, do the shower cuts, and then get that the pipes cut. Right, with the shower tray cuts, I'll just check the level of the shower tray. They're not normally that great. This one's a bit bowy, but not too bad. So I should be able to mark one and then cut them all the same within reason. And we can just run them all through there. So exactly the same way again as with the wall tile. I'll mark it on the reverse. That's pretty good. So I mark it like that and it will go in like this. So you mark it upside down and it flips when it goes in, and that would be that side if you're marking it, and that would be that side. Right, set a gauge on them and cut them off. I'll just check it first before I go ahead and cut a load off. Good. Good. Perfect. So I know that it fits the whole way through, so I can just cut a load off on that gauge now. I'll cut on the tray here. I've just marked the tile to the floor. That'll probably all be the same through there as well. So it's quite a simple one here. I can just place the tile like this. It's probably the easiest way to mark this one. Mark down the side of the tray. I can allow a little bit of play for when it's siliconed as well. And then to get this part, again, I'll just put it upside down. I mean, it's the same mark we've got on the gauge anyway, but I'll show you if we didn't have it. Again, marking just a little bit of play, and then we've got, that's our L shape out. So now I'm going to scribe it, angle grind the shortest part and pinch it out, or snap it on the cutter. I'll show you that now quickly. So it's scribed. You can see how the glaze is on a ceramic tile. Not the finest quality ones, but it's fine for what it is. But there we go, that's where it's been scribed. And then, so I'd recommend doing this outside, but I'll just show you for all intents purposes of the video, how I quickly angle grind this in here for a minute. That's fine, you can see that, can't you? Yeah. So we're just going to grind down this joint. Let's get off an R8. And because you've already scribed this, it means you can just snap this out, or you can use the cutter and again put that line up and snap it out, but this will come out very easy like that with pinchers. And then let's see if she fits. Yeah, and she'll go straight in. As easy as that. And like I say, you can leave a bit of play on the side here because this is all silicone, just so you don't give yourself any headaches and trying to squeeze it in. Right, let's get these last few on. You can see already there, like I say, where the joint's quite bowed with the state of the tiles and there, but again, the nature of them being a cheap tile, once they go out they'll be fine, but even with the glaze on the edges, it comes off. But we're going to have our other tile coming into it and then silicone on the joint, so nothing that should be visible by the time it's said and done. But like I say, with a cheaper ceramic tile, you kind of get what you pay for really in the best way. But like I say, they'll be absolutely fine once they're all said and grouted. But yeah, obviously with a porcelain tile, it's different material. Obviously the ceramic, and say very soft and biscuit. So the quality of the tile is a bit different to a porcelain tile. Right, anyway, let's make sure you can see these pipes there. Yeah, that's good. So the best way for these looks like it'd just be a couple of notches up. Probably could take a hole out for that pipe. This is all covered by a unit. Just see if we can get it in. Yeah, we'll take a hole out a bit. Right, let's just chuck that in there, and we're just gonna, doesn't need to be too brilliant, it's going to be that for the notches up. Let's just mark them across. These pipes are at different sizes, so I have to make sure I transfer my marks. So I'm just going to say that's for the right one, and something around there for the left one. We can probably do them, we'll do them both at the right one. So I'm just going to scribe these across here from this mark and across here, scribe down. We can just yank them out. That's them. And then for the actual pipe, I might as well do this with the tile as it's there. So it'll be easier. Do it this way. Bit of play. So that one there, I'll put a circle on it, is the top of the pipe. That one there is the bottom of the pipe. Let's just get the sides roughly. It's about there. And it's about there. So these two little ones here. Okay, so I've got that, that and that. Right. Let's match them up and we'll take them out. Use your tape and your set square. So we know, like with these ones, let's just draw these little boxes first, just so you can see them, but I'll scribe through them on the cutter anyway. But it's just a bit clearer. Base of the notch out, and I'll just mark that original mark there with the tape. And I'll get my little level. Mark it properly, so that's coming through there and there. Okay, so then to our little pipe notches. I've allowed loads of play because it's all covered. Don't want to muck about trying to get it too tight. And then for our waste pipe, we know we've got a mark here, and we're going to take the top mark there, which is there somewhere. We can just draw through that. Same thing. And again, I'm just marking this oversized so it looks relatively neat. It's covered. Can use a set square there to come down there, and that one there, and there we go. So these ones I'm just going to angle grind two slots, pinch them out. I'm going to scribe across here so they pinch easy, and this I'm just going to get a hole cutter straight through it, and that'll be that. Right guys, so like I say, I've just gone through these two slots here with the angle grinder. I've scribed across here so these will pinch out easy. Straight through this one with a 50mm hole cutter through ceramic tiles. They cut so easy. I've got loads of videos on hole cutting, so check out my page for that. But I'll just show you with these, you just, that's it really. Now all we got to do is hope she fits. That was all pretty straightforward, so I'm just going to fill in the rest now, and then I'll just tile up to where the mosaic's going to go, up to here, and then we'll have a look at that. So I've just filled in all of that wall there. Now I'll just take a tape mark from this tile to the top. That's my two tiles, and I'll just draw a line through here, which is going to be where our mosaic's going to go. Spread that up, stick them on, then I can get to the mosaics. So I've got this all tiled to here so far, and now it's on to the mosaic. Now it's kind of job and tile dependent with the mosaic. I mean, this is obviously a cubed mosaic, it's on a mesh. There's going to be these 2 cubes worth going through here and then a tile on top. With With this one, because the wall's quite flat and I've just used an 8mm trowel and the size of the mosaic, it looks like I should be able to just place the mosaic in fine. These tiles, as they're ceramic, hold up fine. So I'll be able to put the mosaic in, put the tile on top, and then with my grout float, flatten it out. You don't want the mosaic crush in or bend in, or loads of adhesive coming through. So it's always a bit tricky with mosaic. But if your tile is quite far off the wall because of bumps or the size of tray you've had to use, then you can always stick the mosaic to like a bit of Detramat, like a decoupling membrane, let it go off and then cut it out, and then you'll have a solid, basically, bit of mosaic which you can then just place in. Or you can cut a bit of tile the same size, place it in, and wedge up, do your top cut and then take them back out, and then you can put the mosaic in afterwards to flush it up. Also, you can put a bit of the decoupling membrane, just cut it off, run it through there first, stick the mosaic on. So there's a few different things to pack it out if you need to, but the most important thing is to just try and keep it as straight and in line as possible, because obviously being mosaic, they can get in and out and all over the place. So there's a few methods there for you to try and get it as flat as possible. But like I say, when the tiles are quite flat on the wall, the mosaic's about the same size as the tile. Even if it's set back by 1mm, it's not a massive issue, and once it's grouted, it'll look fine. So that's the approach I'm going to go for here. So let's see how she goes. So the other thing to bear into mind is if the mosaic lines up with the tiles. Now this doesn't line up with the tile joint, so nothing's going to flow through. So I'll probably just run it off of the centre, either side again, same as I set out the tiles, and then it'll be what it's going to be on each end. At least it's centred, and yeah, I think that'd be the best way to go for that. Another important thing to remember is I've drawn a line off of this tile here, because obviously once you get your mosaic on, you can use a laser level if not, but to make sure that when you put your top tile on, it's on in the right place there. So we're just going to go for it and see what happens. I'm just going to loosely place them in for now, and I'll come back and wipe them around a bit once they sit. And then you can use a knife or scissors just to cut them off the sheet. But generally mosaics are coming a 30cm sheet, and so you just want to make sure you get the mesh off the back, because that can block it from sitting all that great. So I'm just going to cut some strips off. Yeah, I've just cut a load of 2s off of the sheet there. So I'll put it in, get some tiles on top, see how it's looking. If I'm not happy with it, then I'll just take the mosaic back out. And like I say, I'll use one of the methods I just said to pack it out. Okay, and the best way to start straightening it up is with your out float. And it doesn't disturb it too much, you just pat it in. That's not too bad, but there's a lot of play to do with it yet, just to get it completely straight. But it's actually pretty smooth through there, so there's quite a bit I can play with on that. So I'll get the top tile cut in now, and again I'll just mark it exactly the same as we've done everything else. Just check that tile there. Pretty good. I'm just going to check it the whole way through. I don't think the ceiling is that level, but quite pissed to stand, so it looks like I'll be marking these individually. So let's get 2 marks on that one. I'll just leave a couple of millimetres play again. You can obviously rub these up with your diamond block, just got to be, as again, like I say, because they're quite cheap, the glaze is a bit fragile, but if you can get away with just smoothing them up, it's not too bad. So we've got our line there where this tile's got to go, so then we know we're keeping with our vertical. again, being a ceramic tile, once this tile bonds it shouldn't really go anywhere, so just make sure we're on our line. Obviously I'll go through the whole lot with that, but then once you've got your other tile in there, you can really just pat them and make sure they're nicely in line. You can see they're a little bit crinkled as they are, so you can manipulate them a little bit to get them good, but I say it's all the joys of mosaics. But just get them relatively good, relatively flat. And again, once they're grouted, they'll be fine. So yeah, I'm just going to go through now and cut the whole of the top row through and place them in. And that's taking shape. Okay, all the top ones are in now and that's looking pretty good. I just use the angle grinder to just cut the end cuts off of the mosaic here. And it's all pretty smooth through there, so I'm not going to do too much more with that. Once that's all grouted, that's going to marinate in nicely. So that is that whole wall done now. Then we've got this wall to do next. I've got the trim going up the side there. So I'll get the trim in, then I'll just work down from the line, work up and complete that. Same thing, it's pretty straightforward now. This cut will either be a hole cut which I can slot over it, or I think the cut works through it there, so it's probably just going to be a little slot. This can be a hole on the wire. It's an electrical shower which should cover most of that, so no biggies there. So yeah, get that done. And then just this little half wall here, this has got no mosaic on it. I'm just going to put a bit of trim on top of it to finish it. It's just a white plastic trim, and this, it's a pretty simple bathroom actually. It reminds me of something I used to do about 20 years ago on site, and we used to do loads of these. I think I did once about 80 flats. All the difference was the mosaic. You'd have the same white tile but just different colour mosaic, so that was quite repetitive back then. So yeah, I haven't done one of these for ages, so yeah, pretty nice and simple anyway, and a good budget DIY bathroom for anyone to do really. It's just a nice clean tile with a little bit of a pattern mosaic just to break it up a bit. I mean, you can have that whatever height you want it really. That's a sort of a dado rail height at the moment where the customer wanted it. Some people want it running through the middle of the room, but it just breaks up the white tiles a little bit. But yeah, cool. Let's move on to the next part. Right, so I'm just going to have a bit of trim down here. I'm just going to use this white plastic Genesis trim. I'm going to go with 8mm, try and keep it as small as possible. That just about fits the tile nicely. Try and avoid having big chunky bits of trim, and that's got about 1mm overlap. That'll be absolutely fine. So just need to measure from the top to the bottom. Then I can cut that, just cut through it with an angle grinder or whatever. It's plastic, so it cuts pretty easy. I've just chopped off this bit of step here which was coming into the shower, so I can run the trim all the way up the wall there. So let's get that marked, and then we can get this wall going. $232.5. Okay, so look. Cool, so that trim will just go down there like that just to finish the edge. So now I'll just spread all down there just a little bit for the trim to get that stuck on, and then I can spread from my line down, same as on the wall behind me, and then just start working our way up again. Right, I'm not spread down the bottom, I'm just going to put a little bit of my trim going up the wall here, just about reach that. This pillar, and it's pretty upright, it's level, so I'm fine to start full tile from it. Always check things like this first, because if it's out of level you may have to start your trim or your tile a little bit further out to get it back upright. So let's get our trim on there. I'm going to push it tight to the top of the ceiling. I've allowed a bit of play on the floor because once the flooring goes on there it will all be covered. So I'm just going to push it in with my thumbs. And then just make sure it's nice to the wall. And once the tile's got it, we can straighten it up a bit more, but that's pretty much in place. And then you can just give it a little rub fun down the side. Cool. Let's get some tiles on the wall. A little bit more on there. Just getting some decent there just to make sure I've got a good connection with the trim. And again, just checking the tile, it's good. And in she goes. And if you're on a bit of a tight budget, like I say, with these ceramic tiles, they're very cheap. They do the job. Like I said earlier, they can be a bit sizey and a bit shapy, but by the time it's said and done, they're just basic with a white gloss. But by the time they're grouted, they look absolutely fine, and they can just transform any shower cubicle or bathroom really. Adds a lot of light around the room already. With the skylight that's above me here, it's bouncing light around the room, and you can just add a decorative mosaic or whatever to it to just add your own bit of flavour to it. But yeah, very easy tile to work with as well, being ceramic. They cut like butter basically, so yeah, a good choice. Right, let's get these side cuts cut in, and I think my offcuts hopefully should, yeah, do for these. So that's good for tile wastage. So marking it the same as we did before. Now, as these cuts are going to be visible, like I say, there will be silicone, but I'm just paying a bit more attention to make sure the glaze is okay. I'm going to rub them down. Just so they're a bit more neater. Spaces of them and working to a line just because they're so all over the place. So I'm just using my eye to make sure they're relatively good. Cool. You get the rest of that on, then I can start working up again. You pretty much know the score from here. It's pretty straightforward. So I'll probably join you again once I get around these shower controls or the mosaic up top there. Right guys, I've gone ahead and finished that wall there. You see the mosaic's in, same as the other wall, it's looking pretty good. This cut looks like it's the full tile wrapping around the wall, which is cool. I've just gone up to the top there. And like I say, it's pretty self-explanatory from there after watching the first wall there. It's much the same. And on the shower control, I'll just put a slot through there. I'll put a little bit in there, but it's all covered. Just a hole for the wire for the control. So just this little half of the wall here to finish. And that is that one done. Right, so now this wall's all sealed. I like to see it as it's plaster. I'm just going to draw a level line on the road down because I will put the tile and the trim on as one piece on this final row. So I'll work down from this line for now. Then I can centre the wall and just set out which way the tiling looks best to hopefully try and marinate into that corner. So we'll just get a level line through there first. Once again, the best pen in the world here. Right, cool, that'll do. And let's see how this all works out. Centred. So roughly 158, so that is 79. Like that. And 79 is in between those two would be the centre. And then let's just check with the tile, and now we can just see how it works out to the wall and how it works out with the soil pipe down there to make sure we get a good cut. So either side of the line looks like it gives us a horrible little cut. So let's centre the tile. So it's 12.5. So let's go centre a tile on the centre line. Okay, that's not too bad. That kind of looks like half a tile there, and let's see how that works out on that soil pipe. But it is what it is, really. I mean, if it's a joint for it or whatever, then happy days. If I've got to take the thing out in the middle of the tile, it is what it is. But actually, That's going to work out about the centre of the pipe, so that's good. Cool. And that's it, easy as that. So we're just going to centre the tile, go either side of the centre line, work down, notch around the pipe, and then we can just put the last bit on with the tiles and trim up. All done. For grouting, the customer wants white grout, so I'm just going to use a Curacao number 1, which is white. Now, because these are a very thin ceramic tile, the grout is going to go off extremely quick, apart from in the glass mosaic, so I've got to be quite quick myself and just make sure I wash sections off. I won't put too much on because I'll be putting this on and literally have to wash it off. It's going to go off super quick, so just got to be careful with ceramic tiles and grouts these days. It will go off very quick in the joint, so just don't get yourself too involved. And I'll try and clean as much off the tile as I can to make life easier. As I say, the glass mosaic, it can be left on, but it's just on the actual tile itself. You need to get it off. a decent rubber on it for when you put it on. Right, let's get that. So we'll just be really rubbing this again, as it's a ceramic tile. If it was a porcelain tile, you'd be a bit more gentle, but I just want to rub the joint and make sure my grout joint looks nice. Not going to touch the mosaic too much because, like I say, I'll be able to put the whole bathroom on before that starts turning, as it's a glass tile. It's got no suction in it, so the grout will have to go off by its own time until that sets. And there we go, that's about the perfect time in there. I'll just make sure you can see the ceiling there. I'll just use a wedge here once I've rubbed it to run through it, like so. And then we can create a nice line. May need a couple of goes, a little bit of filling here and there, but better get you a nice joint across the top. Just finger in some more there. Oh, I'm missing some. I'll just clean off what I splat on that wall. There we go. Just fingering any grout in as I go, any pinholes that I see or bits that I've missed, just to get it all in one. Cool. And you can see there that I wouldn't have wanted to go too much further with that, so absolutely fine to wash it off, but I knew that it was going to go off quick, and that's the difference. If you know, then you can be prepared for it, and you just got to really work it. And then that's fine for me to come back now. I can see that all my joints are nice and smooth, so I can come back now, snag it, give it a nice clean wash afterwards, but I don't need to worry about that now. Just do the top bit there. And like I say, I'll leave the grout on this mosaic for a little bit before I start washing it off. You can touch again and feel that's not going anywhere yet. Just continue with this half, get that done. Same with the shower wall there, and right at the end I'll come back through and wash all the mosaic. Then it can have a clean wash. And then I'll just finish up by buffing it with a cloth. It's going to dry very quickly, so you'll be able to do that straight away. And then the tiles will be nice and shiny. Same with the mosaic. Right guys, that is all grouted now. And like I say, you can see with these joints, they all just marinate in nicely now. So next thing I'm going to do is just take a microfiber cloth or a towel and just literally buff the tile. And then you can see there the shine starts to come back. Same with the mosaic up the top there. Just go gently on the mosaic because it'll take a little bit longer to fully cure than the tiles. So yeah, just give it a good buff with a cloth to get it all nice and shiny and get the dust off. And then that is all done. That is all polished up. And that is the final result. I feel with these tiles, this is quite an easy bathroom that anyone can really do, as long as you've got an angle grinder and a tile cutter. With these kind of ceramic tiles, they're very easy to cut, very easy to lay, and you can just add like a mosaic border just to break it up a bit. But a good DIY tile for beginners and a good starter, and just gives a nice clean look to any shower room. And just topping it off with, I mean, this is just plastic trim, you could put metal trim on there, various different colours, but it just tops off. So yeah, a nice simple one with a nice little mosaic border just to break it up a bit. Cool, hope you enjoyed that, guys. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.